As I'm sure you heard, we finally have a Speaker of the House again after Congressman Matt Gaetz led the expulsion proceedings to fire Kevin McCarthy after he failed to keep any of the promises that he made to the Freedom Caucus, which is basically a small group of actual patriotic Americans who put America first, in order to secure their votes to become the Speaker in the first place. So thankfully, he got fired. And so the new guy is Mike Johnson, a congressman from Louisiana. And I'm sure that this means that the Republicans are going to finally get back to work for the American people, right? Oh, wait, what's this?
The first bill that I'm going to bring to this floor in just a little while will be in support of our dear friend Israel, and we're overdue in getting that done.
The first thing that he's doing as the leader of the Republican Party and the third most powerful person in the world, second in line for the presidency, is to put America deeper into debt in order to give more money to a foreign country, to help them fund a territorial dispute between two different ethnic groups that's been going on in its current iteration for 75 years. That's probably about all I should say about that, because we're approaching a very sensitive topic in politics, which you can read about in my new book, which is coming out on Tuesday, November 7th, by the way. Not this coming Tuesday, that's Halloween, the following Tuesday. You still can't pre-order it. Sorry, that's not how I do things, but it will be in stock on Amazon Tuesday morning and probably in all the ebook stores, if not then the very next day. But surely the new Speaker of the House doesn't want to accelerate America's pending bankruptcy by funding numerous different foreign wars, right? Oh, wait, what's this?
Mr. Speaker, do you support additional aid to Ukraine?
We all do. We're going to have conditions on that, so we're working through it.
Do you support additional aid to Ukraine was the question. It was a little bit hard to hear. We all do, he says, speaking for all Republicans. But there's going to be some conditions, guys. Don't worry. I'm sure he'll just tell President Zelensky that him and his trophy wife just can't spend any of the money on Christmas presents. Now, he's not all bad, and I don't mean to rag on him, but the American people deserve to know exactly who this guy is, and obviously, they're not going to hear that from Sean Hannity. But he is disliked by all the right people. Neocon Bill Kristol gives him an F on his Republicans for Ukraine report card. And after his confirmation, Adam Schiff tweeted, "You might be Googling who Mike Johnson is this morning. Let me make it simple. Johnson is a hard right, pro-Trump, leading election denier in the House. Sadly, this is what passes for speaker material in the Republican conference." Well, Mr. Schiff, I'm starting to like this guy a little more already. And because he appears to be a devout Christian, instead of just a Christian in name only, or a Catholic in name only, the liberals also are very upset about that. And so the word Christofascist was trending on Twitter after he was confirmed by people denouncing him for daring to speak about his faith. Ladies and gentlemen, the definition of a Christofascist, says this idiot. And many of the morons are comparing Christians to the Taliban. What exactly is the difference between the Taliban and the Christofascist GOP? And he did hilariously troll Nancy Pelosi outside of her office after President Trump was acquitted from one of his impeachments. Was it 2 or was it 3? I lost track. But anyway, this is quite a funny meme. He also called for Nancy Pelosi to be arrested for destruction of government property after she infamously ripped up Donald Trump's State of the Union speech, which, of course, in a sane society, she would have been.
It was stunning, really, to many members sitting in the House. It was totally unprecedented. It was shameless, and it was also unlawful, Tucker. A lot of people have been talking about this the last 48 hours, and I did a little legal memo to point out to my colleagues that she actually committed a felony when she tore that paper up. It wasn't just any copy of the State of the Union address. It was the copy, the original. And we have over 2 centuries of custom and tradition, and of course the Constitution that calls for the State of the Union address, that when the president delivers the copies to those top legal officers, the 2 top legislative officers in that co-equal branch of government, those are the official documents of the House. And if you tear those up, you violated a specific statute in the criminal code.
Yep, and since the Democrats are throwing our people in prison for posting memes on Twitter and for walking peacefully through the Capitol on January 6th, it only makes sense to start throwing them in prison as well, until they've had enough of their own medicine that they finally beg for a truce. And trying to throw Nancy Pelosi in prison, where she belongs, for, many things, but destruction of government property among them, certainly is a lot better than the last Speaker of the House who threw President Trump under the bus for January 6th.
The president bears responsibility for Wednesday's attack on Congress by mob rioters. He should have immediately denounced the mob when he saw what was unfolding. These facts require immediate action by President Trump. Accept his share of responsibility, quell the brewing unrest, and ensure President-elect Biden is able to successfully begin his term. And the president's immediate action also deserves congressional action, which is why I think a fact-finding commission and a censure resolution would be prudent.
So he supported the creation of the January 6th Commission, but then he quickly realized that the winds didn't quite shift the way that he thought, and only a small handful of Republican members of Congress threw President Trump under the bus, and so he quickly changed his tune. But the new boss believes that there is a systemic and structural racism problem in America, which, I guess there is, of course, against white people, but this is what he said shortly after the Black Lives Matter insurrection started back in 2020.
And I've thought often through all these ordeals over the last couple of weeks about the difference in the experiences between my two 14-year-old sons, Michael being a Black American and Jack being white, Caucasian. They have different challenges. My son Jack has an easier path. He just does. The interesting thing about both of these kids, Michael and Jack, is they're both handsome, articulate, really talented kids, gifted by God to do lots of things. But
my Black adopted son, he is statistically 10 times more likely to commit crimes, therefore 10 times more likely to get arrested for them. And when people start noticing these uncomfortable kinds of statistics, then people call them racist to try to avoid the uncomfortable reality. He also posted this whole thread on Twitter about George Floyd and the plight of millions of Black men in America. The crisis necessitates real reconciliation and transformative solutions for systemic change. He says, well, we do need some change. I'm not sure how to solve the fatherlessness problem in the Black community, however, or the thug culture that is still embraced by so many of them. But he's talking about white people's treatment of Black people as if we haven't been pampering them enough for the last 15 years or more. And speaking of uncomfortable facts, there are a lot of them in my new book, which is coming out Tuesday, November 7th, 2 Tuesdays from now. In fact, there are over 900 footnotes in the book documenting them. And I don't mean to sound like nasty Pelosi, but you do have to buy the book in order to know what's really in it. But unlike her, hopefully at least, I have earned your trust over the years. Have I ever let you down? But I will reveal this. The cover was designed by Ben Garrison. And if you don't know who that is, he is the greatest cartoonist alive. One of the greatest cartoonists in the history of cartoons. You probably have seen his work over the years. I'm not going to show you the cover because that's part of the surprise. That will be revealed again on Tuesday, November 7th. So stay tuned because it's coming soon.